So my question to my vice guest tonight, how is it that the prime rate in this country is 4.25%, and not one PLP politician has came to the Bahamian people and said, we have the solution, we will change it, and it's a guarantee and not a promise. Good evening, Mark Dunquist.
How you doing? Well, it all boils down to, I am going to speak from the perspective from small business development.
Yes, sir.
And because we don't have no national plan for small business development, everything else will just be chaotic. The prime rate, from I was a young boy, it was always that way. It hasn't changed over years. So you have, the problem is only certain people own banks and things like that. Your Commonwealth Bank is the only Bahamian one, Fidelity, right? But all Canadians own that, and nobody is interested in looking for the small man, because all they want to do is make a profit, because they make more profit in the Bahamas than they make in Canada. That's the first thing, but that's that. Mm-hmm. And also, you look at the middle class people who's be paying all the bills in reference to interest rate, they can't afford it, and that translates into small businesses sector, where because we have no national plan for small business development, there's no focus on creating incentives to reduce any type of interest in the country. So what they would do over the years is give us little grants here, and all of that. But what we need is for everybody, the public and the private sector, to focus on something I call inter-stakeholder partnership. That means everybody must work together. They call it PPTs, where you have the public and private sector agreements, right? But I call it where if there's an alignment of focus, and it gives me the same type of point you're talking about this $12 billion GDP with this $10 billion debt. Well, I hope you realize that next year it'll be 12. So it'll be 100%. No, we had $1 million. You said tourism numbers, and it's going to get worse.
It is, but the third question, you could say that. I mean, and I hear you, but it's only getting worse because tourism is a very fragile industry. Mm-hmm. And when you having a world pandemic like now, you could be 100% correct.
Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you that.
Go ahead.
I was a board member for BIC for about 9 years, 3 administrations. BAMC supposed to be where there was a reduction in agriculture, deportation. If you look at it now, right, BAMC is not doing what it's supposed to because it's not giving that attention. Mm-hmm. We need diversification in agriculture, fisheries, IT, creative markets, all of those things. We have the skills in the country to do that. So, but the challenge is it's not a national development plan to develop businesses in the country. And hence, we'll always have this, what I call reduction in GDP or stagnated GDP. And Marlon, GDP hasn't risen that much in years, decades. So you don't want your head that we're growing. We ain't growing like that.
But the country cannot expand when you only have one financial sector. At least not one financial, one industry, right?
Industry.
And in 2008 or thereabouts, a question was put to the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, by a reporter from Love 97 when he was asked during a meltdown in the United States stock market, and they had a crash in the market when we lost Clico. And the question was asked them, would this be a good time to diversify, find ways and begin a diversification of the Bahamas economy? And he I mean, he snubbed that off in such a manner. That was fact. What? We sunshine and see tourism I'm in industry and la la la. And me personally thought it was an insult.
And
And I thought it was very dumb for him to do that. I think persons like him supposed to be off the political scene from in the 1990s, 1991, 92. He's supposed to be gone off the scene, but he was saved by the bell by the Free National Movement Party. Him and the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Hubert Alexander, former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, when they were not challenged in 1987. And they ran independent, and it wasn't challenged by the Free National Movement. As a result, they win their seat. And the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Hubert Alexander, ended up taking over the air for them. Former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, ended up going back to the PLP. Never mind that he said that he, before the feminist moment, before he returned, and he did. But we end up with 25 years of mounting debts as a result of the governance of those two former law partners, right? And because at the time in 1992, when he received the country, our debt was under $1 billion. Mm-hmm. From 25 years of rule of the late great Sir Lyndon Oscar Pinland, our national debt was only under $1 billion, $800 and some million. After 25 years of rule, not only that, in '67, Mark, you wouldn't believe this, we was in the black.
Yeah,
we had no debt when the white man ran the country. No debt. Right? And 25 years of two former law and business partners, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram and the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, we incur from 1992 to 2017. We incur some 10 plus billion dollars in debt. Mr. Johnson, how is it that the state of affairs that we are in, can we tax our way out, or can we build new industries and make the debt a thing of the past?
Good night. Thank you, Marlon, for having me on the show. Marlon, one of the problems that we have in the Bahamas is that we operate a debt-based monetary system and a debt-based economic system. And what does that mean by debt-based? Our debt-based monetary system is a system that is based off of debt. You borrow to service the debt. Every government that comes in has a recurring deficit of $500 million where you have contingency liabilities. You get liabilities of different government outstanding bills, salaries, all these different things. And so because we don't grow our economy, where our economy goes through the business cycle, and we grow our economy based off of the debt cycle, our economy numbers are always driven by what's happening in the tourism sector. Then we had a strong financial services, we lost that. And then we had a third sector, which is construction, real estate, and these other areas. And so to diversify our economy, we must move heavily into building a green economy, where we have green tech, biotech, information technology, the growing situation what is happening in our country now. And I predicted this years ago as that e-commerce is going to be a third pillar. And now you see that Bahamians spend $1.2 billion online. This was a report done, an article in the Tribune, where Bahamians are spending millions of dollars online. A lot of import-export businesses were started by young professional Bahamians when they became financially independent, where Bahamians were moving from the brick and mortar and ordering. That was a trend. We still had that opportunity. I always said this years ago, studying Grand Bahama as an economy. I think Grand Bahama should actually be an industrially, instead of trying to make it a tourism product. We try to make Grand Bahamas a tourism product versus creating industry. I said it years ago that Andros could have been almost like a tech city. You could create almost like a Silicon Valley, and be able to move people from New Providence and get them into Andros, create before they even had the University of the Bahamas, create a part of the university in Andros, where the School of Agriculture, Information Technology, Biofuels is set up there in Andros. And now you create a city around the university. And what that does, you need IT professionals, you need biotech, you need engineers, you need all these different things, you need housing, all this different kind of development that will take place to actually move our country towards diversification. Then when we look at our import bill, when we look at the balance of trade, when you import more than you export, There's a balance of trade. So all the stuff that we're importing now, the pandemic has proved that we get into manufacturing and producing our own local foods. They help to deal with the foreign exchange. So some of the money is staying in the economy. We need people to deal with marketing. We need people to deal with quality control. We need people to deal with production. We need to be able to have the right kind of systems in place for the things that we're going to be producing. And so all the stuff that we are importing that's causing us to have such a strain on our economy, because we saw it during the financial crisis, we saw it during 9/11, where we had a lull and no imports was coming in the country. There were shortages in food supply. And so we need to be able to move our economy now, where our economy is run off a real business cycle, where our economy is being able to have a Bahamian ownership, Bahamian empowerment. For years, for decades, I was talking about we need more Bahamians to own banks and to be owners of these banks, insurance companies. We need the removal of exchange control. I met one of the governors of the central bank years ago, and I asked him the question, why is the Bahamian dollar only pegged to the US dollar? I said, why can't we have the Bahamian dollar pegged to the Japanese yen, the British pound, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, all the major basket of currencies? And I said, why can't we have all the major banks around the world place their currency in our banks? And then when you have a downfall in the US dollar and these currencies are in our economy, we don't have this fluctuation of the rates. We could be able to have these different kind of rates work in our favor. And she said, you sound like a central banker. I said, no, I have my degree in international business, and I think like an international business person. So when you think about how you grow an economy, how you grow a country, you don't put restrictive measures of allowing our economy to be able to grow when there's restrictive measures in terms of policies. Now, we all know through the Panama Papers, next to Venezuela, the Bahamas, the Panama Papers, there's $8 billion sitting in Swiss accounts by Bahamian passport holders. Who are these Bahamian passport holders? Why those monies can't come back in our economy? The Panama Papers have released said that Bahamians have billions of dollars sitting in Swiss bank accounts. And so if we open up this economy, allow Bahamians to bring in foreign capital in this economy, they help grow our economy can expand, our economy can have growth and development that we can be proud of, and then we can have something. We are a local investment board. We should never abolish that. We are the Ministry of Financial Services and Investment that we had under the first PLP administration. We should have never removed that. These were good policies, good economic strategies that we had to be able to grow these different sectors. Now the whole global economy has shifted to more digitized economy, towards blockchain, towards cryptocurrency, towards moving in that kind of expansion. And we need to be able to bring our country up to speed in terms of education, in terms of moving ourselves in the 21st century in that kind of expansion. That is what we need. That's a 21st century Bahamas that we can believe in.
Yeah, listen, we got to take our first break. It's 8 o'clock. We got to take our first break. And when we come back, our phone lines are 326-8255, 326-8255. Are you tired of paying high rates, interest rate at the bank? I had a boss, I wouldn't call his name, but I had a boss on Paradise Island who has to do all the logistic work for him, and he's building some time-sharing homes on Paradise Island. And he said to me, why you look so down? I said, it's the normal pressure from day-to-day businesses. And he said, what happened? I said, high loan payments. He said, what high loan? What you mean by that? I said, the interest rate I pay for a loan is 8.25. I said, I have a loan that I'm paying 12% on. He said, what? I said, are you stupid? I said, oh, if you want to use building money, you got to accept the minimum they're going to give you. And he said, why would you sign for something like that? I said, you don't have all the choice. I said, he's a Canadian lawyer, businessman. He's a business guru. And he said, man, listen, I wouldn't ever sign something like that. And I said to him, brother, in the Bahamas, this is it. We Bahamians, we have no other choice. We have producers say, take a break. We take a break. When we come back, we continue our conversation with my two special guests, Mr. Mark A. Tanquist and Mr. Wayne Johnson. We take a break when we come back after the break. We're back live on the Great Shoulders Love 97. I was given a factual information to prove some of the things that happen in this country. And when I brought it to, and I stated before the break, that when I brought information to a gentleman who I was working for, who's a lawyer from Canada on Paradise Island, and I explained to him that I was paying some 12% at one of the foreign banks, and he said, listen to me, brother, I would have never signed that. He said, he called me to his computer and he showed me, he turned the computer on so I can look at it. And he showed me something. He said, man, listen, how come you can't get like 1% or 2%? I said, because the banks, I don't know why they have a 4.25 interest rate, prime interest rate. But then when they were 4.25, then they add on the other interest rate for the people money who they lending from. So that's why we pay so high. And he said, listen, I could get you a 2% interest rate on $1 million. I mean, $1 million still there. I ain't going for it because I can't pay. What could you sell to pay $1 million back every month? What could you sell? $1 million still there. He signed it and guaranteed a loan for me. I was supposed to pay about 2%, but I never bought it. And that's some 5 years ago. Because, to pay the interest rate on $1 million at 2% sounds small. But boy, that's plenty of money. So what he said there. But listen to me. Market request.
Yes.
We as a people in this country, right? How can we slowly and gradually remove ourselves from a market where if you don't inherit money from your ancestry, you have a hard time to start a good, sustainable business. You started from scratch. It takes so long because of the population numbers and the demand is so limited because of the population in this country is so small. The market is too small, so you end up using plenty of your youth years just trying to build your business. If you do get it up and running, you done gone. And if you don't get a mortgage with it too, because go ahead.
Yeah, what happened is that's why being president of the 242 Small Business Association and Resource Center, one of our focus is youth development first. What we want to do is, and I'm going to have two type of strategies in this. What we want to do is get the young primary school students focus on two core things: financial management. And
Primary school?
Primary school.
No, man, that's too far down.
No. Well,
I think junior school would be.
No, primary school. They have junior achievement right now in primary school.
Like being a junior, I was part of junior.
I said primary school.
No, I never had primary school.
Right, yeah. And that's what we're trying to, once you get them conditioned, because in the early years of education, once you condition young people with business management and financing planning, managing their money and all that stuff, they will eventually move to junior high school. Because when you reach senior high school, you're supposed to be doing two things, which is what we're not doing. Either you are going two tracks, either going to the trade track, like being an electrician, or some type of technical plumber, or you going to be in a business.
Academic.
Exactly.
Right.
We have, the CC Sweden years ago had a model where they divide individuals into getting the business or you get into some type of vocational skills.
Right.
We yet not doing that. We started too late. We are not integrating the high school to that level along with a BDVI to really get these young people involved early in the game to decide exactly where you want to go. That's why we have a lot of welders who are not welders. We gotta train them so late. You see? So we have to make sure identify the skills in the country. Either you can run your own business. I ain't talking about working for people now. Or you go into some type of vocational skills trade.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about lawyers.
No, but I had prepared a educational plan that encompass trade and academic. Where when you sit the 6th grade exam, it's called GLAT.
Of course.
When you sit that's supposed to determine if you're a student to be in the category to go to a trade. Because when you reach grade 7, it don't make no sense you still in class learning about algebra and you ain't understanding what's happening. Right? We need we as a country need to really create a 50, a 10, 25, 50, 100-year plan.
Yeah, but we had a national plan, but went in the toilet. Because the 5 years ago we had a national development plan which was developed by partisan, by PLP, FNM, everybody produced that. But the challenge is that our government, they're not, they don't look at other governments, and they're not like, they're like separation. Because if we use that national development plan, right, and as a foundation and tweak it based on economic and social type of environment, then we would have actually have a better strategy now to cope with this economic and health crisis. Case in point, in 2009, the Caribbean Export Development Center paid my organization money to host the first Small Business Summit.
Okay.
Out of that, we my team and I and all the industries, 7 or 8 different industries, from agriculture to fisheries to manufacturing, all over the place, hospitality. And all of that was the birth of the Small Business Act.
Yeah, I hear it, but it's being discussed in assembly.
And what happened was, that's 2009, and my organization and my team, for the past 3 consecutive administration, was trying to get that done. Because if you don't have a sequential where you, every year you focus on the same strategies and try to tweak it. Because in 2011, the framework was developed by that PLP government. And the what I call model was SMEDA, Small Business Development Agency. When the FMD government came in power, they threw it in the garbage and they got into the Small Business Development Center. Right? And hence the Small Business Act was not legislated. Therefore now, the government is disbanded. Right? So now, what happened is off. So we still don't have a Small Business Act for small business development. And the national plan is still not together. Because, and let me tell you something else. In 2002, my organization developed a workshop, and we introduced this to the Domestic Investment Board. I don't remember that, where it was a framework under the Ministry of Financial Services. And when the PLP lost and the FNM came in, the Ingram administration.
That's another PLP.
Right? No. Disbanded. They threw it away. Otherwise, they dissolved that, and everybody, business plans and everything was destroyed. So because of there's no consecutive legislation, because they want to legislate the Domestic Investment Board, but it's too late because they lost. They did it in February. They lost in May. Now what happened now? When in 2012 it came up, and what happened in 2017, the PLP lost and disbanded. So there's no legislation of no national development plan because consistency and no small business development plan. So therefore, we'll always be flapping our heads.
Yeah, but
and all this stuff be going on.
You must acknowledge that the problem in this country is we as a people don't understand the magnitude and importance of having a national plan. I'll give you an example. CDR, the CDR political organization that was headed by the former
Maynard.
Former league great Bernard Norwich. Bernard.
Yeah.
He had a 5, a 25, a 50-year plan. You check every plan the PLP bring out, no 10 years, no 15, no 20, no 25-year plan. For the last 50 years. For the last 50 years, from 1967 to 2017, the PLP run the country. 3 PLPs. The late great Lyndon Penland, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram, and the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christian. 3 PLPs. From 67 to 2017. And it appears to me, personally, that since the great late Lyndon Penland gone, the two former law and business partners, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram and the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, run the country ad hoc. As they meet challenges, they deal with it at their best ability.
Let me give you 2 fundamental challenges with the Ingram administration. Number one, we know that BDC never supposed to be sold, and that's a fact. Number two, this road works, what was going on a couple of years ago, destroyed 50% of the business
Small business.
in Prince Charles, local Carmichael area, and Robinson Road.
Man, I lost my business on
I'm
Robinson
telling you,
Road.
I
saw it.
had to bring my customers from Marathon Mall. I'm located at Robinson Road there, and I went to the FN administration at the time. I said, please stop.
Not there, but
It was the FN administration at the time. I said, please
led
stop.
by PLB.
No, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I said, please stop this road works, right? Or do some type of business risk analysis that give us X amount of money to rebound. Because and that did not work. Hence, we even have an association, and it did not work. The problem is because there was no voice at the table. That's why, hence, we formed the 242 Small Business Association in Ross Center, the Chamber of Commerce, because we was over the center of the hill. Let us die.
Yeah, but I can tell you this, I lost a business on Robinson Road as a result of the road week. And the day I had 13 pallet of stuff came in, I was getting ready to open up. The week I was supposed to open up was when they cut the trench across my door. They couldn't, the trench for the pipe, and they closed the trench for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, what they get rotten, dry rot, and
That's it.
I have 13 pallets of it. I was getting ready to open the week.
Yeah.
And I just cleared custom and everything, and then they cut the trench. And that was the end of me.
But you know why?
I
Because-
never bounced back on Robinson Road.
No,
My business never bounced.
I told you.
Never opened up on Robinson Road. Never.
I saw 50% of my customers and my colleagues on Robinson Road, Prince Charles, and Great Westaka Michael Ben just ran out of it and never returned. And as a small business owner, because you invest a lot of your sweat equity, it was difficult to recover.
Right.
And therefore, no government over the past, I don't care what you say, past 5, 10, 15, 20 years, never focus on small business development, because if it were, then it would be legislation. Because government legislate what they want.
Yeah.
Always remember that. And because there's no legislation of small business, don't mind the small business development center, this grand here, little 5,000. That's little penny stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
But I can tell you this, Mr. Tanquest. It appears that past leaders of this country, either they fear Bahamians' ability or something. Mr. Johnson, how can we as a people demand politicians to create an environment for small business? If you understand business, it clearly shows that 100 small businesses is better than 10 Atlantis. It's better than 10 Bama.
See,
Why? Because if 2 or 3 small businesses fail, maybe 12 people on a job. When Atlantis fail, that's 10,000 people on a job.
and that is a trickle-down effect on the
Right.
economy.
So, how is it that successive governments from 1967 to 2017 don't understand this concept, and they always try in this voodoo economic policy that the PLB inherited from Haiti Missy, where they believe it's so pretty to put Atlantis over there on Paradise Island. It's so pretty to put Bahama up there on Table Beach, but never ever offer the same exact incentives and concession to Marlon Johnson, to Mark A. Turnquist, to Wayne Johnson, to Randall Jones, to ordinary Bahamians in this country. How is it that they don't understand that the trickle-down effect of small business is 10 times greater than the atrocities businesses that foreigners run, that come here and get honey and milk and honey, and listen, they get concession. We give them crown land on island that even they own. They get crown land on Andres and they never be in Andres. They get crown land this way. They get do this. They get a hobby horse all the track. They get crown land on Gladstone Road. We give them everything, the zinc, the cupboard, everything. And small business got to start up by itself. Find your first and last month's security deposit, renovate the building, buy your stock, got to go pay duty, freight, VAT. You got to do all these things to get your little small business started. But a foreigner coming with a briefcase full of newspaper and he white. How is it that we as a people don't force the politicians today? All that, listen, 2, 3 PLP that been around with me talking food, right? I said, listen to me. What is the plan for the Bahamians to stop vomiting in this country, dying, paying debt, and then move on to the next life without giving a chance to live in paradise and have this shit? And they lost the way because they ain't got no plan for us.
Yeah, but
The PLP don't have no plan for us in order to move us forward. Tell me why. They don't understand that the best way is small business.
small business, one of the reasons why we suffer in this country is we suffer from a neo-colonial mindset. And that neo-colonial mindset teaches us that somebody else got to come in here to save us. We can't save ourselves. And so that's a problem. If you present a plan like this, the fella say, a Bahamian do this. You mean you always the one who comes up with this plan? You Bahamians do this? So that whole mindset, we're still suffering from that. We have challenges in the 21st century that leaders are still in the 19th and 20th century. We have 21st century problems that they cannot solve. So it takes leaders with vision to help people with dreams. And a lot of times what happens is, because we only see our people as busboys, waiters, and maids, we can't see them as ownership. We can't see them as having ownership in our economy. I said this hundreds of times on the radio, that when Atlantis first came here, if we had placed $100 million in Atlantis with their stock and say, okay, because you want these concessions, we're giving you billions of dollars in concession. But a part of the $1 billion in concession is we want $100 million in shares in Atlantis. When Curtis International, Salters International was trading on the New York Stock Exchange, it split almost 4 times, 4 to 6 to 8 times. Couldn't remember the exact, but I know it was 4 times or more. You can imagine if we had $100 million inside that and that split 4 times.
They don't want to pop a Bahamian, Mr. Johnson.
What I'm saying
I don't understand why.
Because we have a neo-colonial mindset. Information and system keep you trapped in a game called capitalism. If you don't understand this game called capitalism, you'll be capitalized upon. If you don't become a manufacturer, distributor, or producer, you can never participate in economic life. See, some people can't see you elevating yourself, emancipating yourself from mental slavery. That's the only way you can free your mind. You got to be able to emancipate yourself. And unless you think at that level, you will always have people who tell master coming in to save us, why are you trying to go against master? So that neo-colonial mindset that still exists in our educational system, that still exists in our business environment, that still exists in our banking system. Years ago, it used to be $1 million to bring ownership to a bank. I think you got to have $10 million in capital now. See, every time Bahamians get...
I think Sabas Basia and the owner, the CEO of Island Luck. I mean, I think he's trying to get a bank. And why hasn't he qualified? He has more than $10 million.
People have the perception because of where his money came from.
He gave him what? He gave him a legal business.
I'm just being the reality. See, when you go before these agencies, like I have been before,
Marlon,
listen to what I'm saying to you. When you go before these agencies, doesn't matter. You could do legitimate business, present your business plan. The fella asked me inside the room, said, Johnson, this is a great idea. He said, but you do black, get a white face, okay? We buying whatever they selling, that's what we gonna buy. So our neo-colonial minds have already been trained like that. I don't care if they dress up in shirt, pants, and tie and wear a suit. It's the reality of neo-colonialism. It still exists in our country today. The mindset of that kind of situation has to change. We need to be able to have Bahamian ownership in the hotel sector. We can't just be busboys, waiters, and maids. We got to be able to increase the opportunities for Bahamians to own small hotels. Through the Hotel Encouragement Act, to be able to expand that in the family islands, give them the kind of concessions to be able to have a hotel, create these brands, get the same marketing opportunities what we do for the bigger hotel brands.
I mean, you're so right.
See, it's a mind shift, it's a mentality shift, and it's a mindset shift. It's our own people doing it.
Mr. Johnson, and you're so right, and you touched on something that I must emphasize. Plenty of babies in this country, they go around and, I have to get up every day, so I ain't wearing no politics, and it's so stupid. Let me tell you why. The amount of money that they pay in taxes that limits their amount to save, they don't understand. It's from the decisions that politicians make. So when you feel that, I gotta get up every morning and go to work, it's stupid. That's what you're doing, wicked. You'll wait till you get old and get sick and die, right? And never have a chance to stop and enjoy life. Enjoy life, right? Enjoy yourself for being free and live good, eat good, travel where you want. You will never have opportunity to live. All you think that, oh, I can get up in the morning, don't care who wins, don't care who does. It's not as simple as that. Because decisions that politicians make could benefit, could be advantages or disadvantages.
Absolutely.
And Singapore is a proof
Yes.
that it benefit.
Yes.
Jamaica is a proof that it's a disadvantage. Bad decisions when you continuously allow.
See,
Go ahead.
policy. See, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, independent thinker. Policy and legislation determines what happens in a country. Government come in and government come out. Like Mark talked about it earlier. Nobody has gone on that record to be able to push for the Small Business Development Act. It doesn't matter. You gotta have policy and legislation. See, back in the day, they said, don't do as I say, don't do as I do as I say, not as I do. People ain't looking at that. People watching what you're doing now. You can talk lip service to me, but show me what you can do. The question in our country today is, whatever happens after the election has come and gone, what policy and the decisions that you're going to make that benefit me as the average Bahamian? We should have a national, what you call a national savings plan in this country, where you have Bahamians, if you have $500 on your account, $1,000 on your account, 5,000, 10,000, your card numbers entered into a pool. We tried to do that years ago when we was introducing a prepaid debit card. We was using a local bank. It was based off of the British premium bonds. Every time your card number reaches a particular level, your card number will enter in the ring. And here's what you have to do. That encourages you to save. That encourages you to feel that you're saving towards a goal. And so guess what? If you win, 50% of your earnings goes into bonds or dividends. Then you move up to the next level. You move up to 500. You move up to 1,000. You move up to 2,500. You move up to 5,000, 10,000. What happens? We know Bahamians have disposable income because they gambling every day. I don't gamble, but Bahamians gamble. Some people make money. Some people lose money. I'm saying Bahamians are looking to take chances, but if we educate our people about money, how money works, finance and investment.
They need to move that part of curriculum in the schools.
Yes, so we don't teach our people to be busboys, waiters, and maids. We teach them how to have ownership in our economy, how to understand how money works, how to invest, how to be able to understand the trading mechanism, and how we can be able to make money on it. This is a money-making country.
From primary school.
This is a money-making country.
Start from
this is a money-making
young age.
country.
Yeah, but listen to me, because his first guest is getting ready to leave. It's 8:27. Well, I'm not the final word, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Turnquest, about 4 years ago, I continuously, every often, when I talk financial talk, and I talk tourism talk, I continue telling people, how is it that no politician is trying to create a CNI, a catastrophic national insurance, that we pay a fund that we pay into to the Lloyd's of London or something. Because tourism is such a fragile industry. When you have a 9/11, when you have a COVID-19 pandemic, when you have a meltdown on the United States stock market, we suffer tremendously as a people because we have tourism is our number one industry, our only industry. Majority of our tourists come from America. So whenever America has a problem, we inherit it. How is it that we can't start and begin a conversation of a catastrophic insurance that we as a people can be protected in times like now, where we had a full year from March last year to about May this year, where not one tourist was on Bay Street. Bay Street was a gold star. We're gonna take a break.
Right.
But we're gonna take a break. Before I take my break,
5 seconds.
We'll have my guest.
I said one statement. It all stand and fall of national leadership,
National leadership.
and we don't have it right now.
We don't have it.
That's it.
Market Turnquest, you got to last word of Market Turnquest. He's going to leave. And we're going to continue our conversation with the other guest, Mr. Wayne Johnson. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we continue our conversation and dialogue with my final guest for the last half hour of Primetime with Independent Thinker.
Exactly.
We're back live on the Great Studio, Love 97. Listen, Mr. Johnson, before we take the break, we was talking about how is it that we know that tourism is a very fragile industry.
Yes.
Before the late Cylinder Pillen died, the great late Cylinder Pillen died, we had three industries. They were not at the level of tourism, financial sector, and the agriculture sector.
Yes.
The agriculture sector died under the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, when all them cow and the PLB died. And then the financial sector died a debt of 10 bills that was faxed from Washington by the former Prime Minister, Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingram. And so go on the financial sector, so go on the agriculture sector. Both of them died, the two industries died under two PLPs. We only now left with tourism that was created by the late Stafford Sands, one of the founding member of the UBP, and we still, from 67 to now, we still has tourism as our number one and only industry that we are still surviving. How is it, Mr. Johnson, that all these years from 67, that's 33 and 17, that's what, 50 years,
Yes.
we still hasn't created and built a new industry. We still surviving and striving on a industry that a man that the PLP usually call a bigot, a racist, a this and that. But them being black, being into a school and educated, and still, we still don't have a other industry for this country to strive on, for the Bahamian people to continue to build as a people, so that we don't have to be taken advantage as citizens of this country from travel advisories from the Americas and meltdown in the economy in the United States, 9/11, COVID pandemic, all these things. We still depending on the most fragile industry that has ever been created by mankind.
God has blessed this country, independent thinker, our geographic location. Right after 9/11, the first country that investors came to invest was the Bahamas. After the 2008 financial crisis, tourist investors came back to the Bahamas to invest. Right after COVID-19, you started to see a lot of luxury yachts start to come into the Bahamas, cruise in the Bahamas. You see a lot of Americans. The Bahamas is the first place off the eastern seaboard of the United States or to Florida. So the Bahamas has a good name and a good place to be able to come vacation and invest. But we have not expanded our opportunities for us to be able to diversify. The Bahamas should have been a multi-billion-dollar sector when it comes to financial services. In terms of blockchain, cryptocurrency, that's a new form of financial service that's happening now. A lot of buildings going.
But it appears that it ain't stable. This cryptocurrency thing, it appears that it ain't stable. They had a heist of $600 million, some 2-3 weeks ago.
But depending on the kind of crypto that you have and how your wallets is secure, I'm talking about the industry in terms of the technology, the blockchain, to prevent fraud from taking place. When you talk about land registry, you talk about offshore database management, co-location. We're talking about building a multi-million-dollar data center. We need to build a million-dollar data center outside of Cable Bahamas to be able to house data and store data and information. We could actually have companies who have multi-billion-dollar companies in the United States. We provide opportunities for our young people to be able to move into the sector. We should be able to be teaching our young people about coding, about networking, about IT configuration and all these different type of things. We need to be able to expand our people's thinking and our economy to think about ownership and entrepreneurship and that kind of thing to be able to get the mindset of our whole economy to change. We have to change as a people. We can't always expect master to come with you and save us. We got to think about how we're going to save ourselves.
Yeah, but they don't have Mr. Johnson. The opportunities are so limited when it demands the Bahamians' participation, right? It's limited. How is it that we don't have an industry in this country or a ministry that encourage investment, that assists you as a small business entrepreneur? It do help you with guide you through the paperwork, it helps you manage in getting startup, and it helps you move all the bureaucracies and red tape. Why we don't have a ministry that just deals with small business startups and continuation and even offering a service where expertise that are required and needed, that the government will find and fund them to give you the best expert advice. I mean, is it a problem? Is it a problem when Bahamians open up business? I mean, is this society designed deliberately of just services where we as a black people are just supposed to be maids and busboys and waiters and helpers and handyman? I mean, you go back to BTVI. I did welding at BTVI in 2001. Welding in BTVI in 2001. People was doing welding in BTVI before I came there. They're doing welding in BTVI after I left, and they're doing welding at BTVI now. How is it that in Freeport, the shipyard is important Jamaicans, important Guyanese, important Mexicans, right? In the shipyard.
Yeah.
There are places in Freeport that have foreigners doing the same way the BTVI being treated for years. Why we don't have a system that immigration have to funnel through, where you don't just advertise that you need these people, and then you don't get Bahamians call and qualify for the job and capable for the job. You still allow the work permit to be granted. I mean, I just don't understand it.
We've moved away from the Bahamianization policy. The Bahamianization policy has marginalized Bahamians, have made Bahamians second-class citizens in their own country. I never believed that I started to go to the back of the bus. I always believed I was supposed to sit in the head of the class. Sometimes when I was in school in the States, I used to be the only black in the class. They said, "Man, how do you feel being the only black?" I said, "I don't feel no different than you. I feel like whatever my teacher teaches me, I can do just as good a job or better." And so I believe I deserve to have the opportunity. I believe I have the right to be able to have the best and be the best. So you shouldn't limit me because of how I look or where I come from, my family name or my background. You should not be limited in this country in certain sectors and certain industry that happens. Now remember this, the Hawks People Agreement, how Freeport is set up, gives them that kind of advantage because Freeport, the city of Freeport, is not owned by the Bahamas government. So you must
inject that the PLP had a great opportunity to end that. They not resign the 99-year agreement again, Before they leave power in 2017, the PLP re-signed the agreement, again. Intentionally and deliberately, continuously, whatever happened inside Freeport.
Yeah.
We as a country is not benefiting.
No.
We are not benefiting from the Raganite. We are not benefiting from the natural resources that is being exported from Freeport. And they signed the agreement, the PLP signed it again. They deliberately and intentionally did it. Why?
See, we have to find out who owns the Aragonite. The Aragonite gang is the Queen.
No, you got no Queen. The company is a Freeport.
What I'm saying to you is,
don't say that.
we don't, the Hawks People Agreement, these agreements are signed. The Grand Bahama Port Authority, the Grand Bahama, all these different entities that are set up in Freeport, because they control that parameters of Freeport through the Hawks People Agreement. This is why these revenues and all these different profit sharing still go back to them before the government get any.
I always find, it was stated that when I was doing some investigation on the Grand Bahama Port Authority, I came across some information that I couldn't prove it, because you don't have a government ministry that has the Freedom of Information Act that allow you access to it. They hide these information,
of course,
because they don't want the Bahamian, and we still go back and vote for these same worthless people. Listen to me. How is it that if the information is correct, where 7% of the Grand Bahama Port Authority business is owned by the Bahamian people and the Bahamian government? I never hear, and it may happen, but I never personally heard the tabling of the 7% fund.
for revenue.
That revenue was paid and read off in the House Assembly, the financial ministry of Ministry of Finance state how much money the Bahamian people benefit to this consolidated fund, to the national bill or national debt or benefit. So if say it is true, right, that we the people own the 7%, and this monies go to Royal Bank, like I was stated in the information that I received, if it's true, when who gets this? Who moves this money of this account? I mean, why we as a people are just being guinea pigs and just allowing these people to just continuously take advantage of us? Why we just be slave to them? Pay all these taxes. We let the rich don't pay no tax. They pay very minuscule tax. They hardly pay any tax. The yachts pull up to their house in Lifer Key, in Old Fort Bay, and Palm Key, and Port New Providence. The yacht just pull right up to their house. I mean, customs go to clear them. Then they, I mean, why? And then the black man, he come to the airport. They digging up in your bag and your old dirty clothes. I mean, why we as a people continuously voting for these same people who allow us to continue to be treated like this?
Because we are interested in wine, dance, song, rally, jungle, and chicken in the bag. If they know that's all you want, they give you chicken in the bag, rally, and jungle. So when the people dance up and carry on and kick up, and they get see. I understand the economic. See, political power or economic power means nothing. You could get all the political power you want, but if you ain't got no economic base, the people who understand that, they move and they control the economy. The people who are the power brokers, they control the economy. They don't run for the White House. They control situations behind the scene. The Koch brothers was some of the most powerful men in the political action group in America. They never run for no public office, but they control things from behind the scene. He said Mayor Rothschild was a part of the Mayor Rothschild banking family. He said, give me control of your nation's monetary system, and I care not who writes their laws. I don't care who you send there, we will own them. So when they go there and they sit there, they got to carry out our business.
I noticed, and very vehemence, I hope they realize it, that from 2012 to 2017, we had no major hurricane, we had no pandemic, we had no financial meltdown in the United States, but still, we allow a political organization called the PLP to get away, right? They had one balanced budget during the whole 5 years. Now, one balanced budget during the whole PLP administration from 2012 to 2017. We had one balance. They had an overdraft of some 600 million, right? No, yeah, a deficit of over $1 billion. And the Bahamian people playing them today. I'm saying, man, I will go out PLP. And we allowed them to get away with 5 years, but not one balanced budget, a deficit of 600 million, a overdraft of over $1 billion, and we just sit by. We just toting this by. We toting this burden on our back, like we just was born to be a guinea pig or be a donkey, right? And we don't understand that life could be much better in this country for payments.
But it's a better thing. Remember I said earlier that we carry a debt-based monetary system and a debt-based economic system. So every government that comes in, they have this recurring deficit, this recurring debt. So they had the recurring deficit that came in because of the overspent with the roads. The overspent of the roads, they had to push the line of credit. They had to borrow so much money. So all this extension now that has happened, all of that happened within that administration. And so because we had that kind of system going, it incurs more debt on the population. So we're paying higher taxes
listen.
we're paying higher taxes in water, we're paying higher taxes in light. All these different things come about because we still operate in this monetary system. Now,
sit back. No, but see.
But I would say this to you. I would say this to you. I was when they had rallies and seminars talking about the implementation of the VAT. I was never for VAT. I said let's bring in income tax. And people say,
they don't want to use a tax system.
See, when you use an income tax system, you have accountability of the money. Everybody have to show where their real income is coming from. So the VAT taxes the poor, the middle class, at the same level as the low. Don't matter what level you have, when you have an income tax, You're taxed based on your income. I don't have a problem. If I'm making more, I should pay more. Even because we have that system, if somebody makes $1 million and I make 100,000, we're in the same tax bracket as NIB. It shouldn't be. If I'm making more, I should pay more. But that is not the case, and that is why we have so much recurring deficit, downgrades, deficits, and defaults.
And the Bahamians don't.
That has happened. I must say this to you. Marlon Johnson. You have done an excellent job with gathering this information here. And I want us to be able to get together with some other Bahamians who would help us put this together in a paper for Bahamians to be able to understand this position of where we are. You talked about $999 million worth of interest and $560 million worth of
principal payment.
Now, those principal payments, how do we get to pay these payments internationally? How do we pay these interests internationally?
We had a point, Mr. Johnson, we are borrowing money to pay a loan.
To save us the debt.
How?
But I'm saying,
listen to me.
we put ourselves off the cliff.
Yeah.
And if we don't do something drastically to change our trajectory of where we're going, I don't want to see a devaluation of the Bahamian dollar.
But see what understand, Mr. Johnson, we sit by idly. Remember this?
I know.
The old saying states this. Evil prevail when good men stand by idly and does nothing.
But
I say it again.
Yes.
Evil prevail when good men stand by idly and does nothing. I give you an example. The port deal. The port deal is such a bad deal. The former chairman of the PLP, the Right Honorable Hubert Alexander Ingham Green. It's a bad deal. I don't care what no one say. If the port don't make sufficient money to pay the 21 families who put $1 million apiece, there are 10% that is guaranteed to them. The money will come out of the treasury to make up their investment 10%. Right? How is it that we as a people, we sit down idly and did nothing? We allow it to happen, it go through. The rich people who had $1 million to put there is guaranteed $100,000 every year for their $1 million. Where in the world you could get $100,000 for $1 million guaranteed? And if they don't make the investment, the black poor people in this country will pay it. Which other investment in the world you could get that? And we sit by and we did nothing. We have, listen, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't believe this. I watched some former PLP cabinet ministers and MPs campaigning at the same time. Former members of the parliament who was in the PLP. They campaign and tell you vote PLP today. But they owe millions of dollars to Bank of the Bahamas, which is funded by the Treasury. It's like the Bahamian people just heading out. Something wrong with us. How could you get the gall to tell me I'm just going to vote PLP, right? While you owe millions of dollars to Bank of the Bahamas, which is funded by the Treasury. The Treasury is a consolidated fund that you are paying tax. Diesel, I call the man David Diesel. Diesel is $4.14 a gallon. $4.14 a gallon. That's because of the amount of tax the government has to put on diesel and in order to raise this $1 billion to pay on interest. There's $600 million to pay on principal payment, $75 million a month to do salary, right? Every month, $75 million a month to do to pay salary, civil servant salary, right? And you listen, you haven't listened to what I said to you. And when you catch this, they owe 30 and 40 and 15 and 10 and 5 and $1 million to the Bank of Bahamas, and they so cold. They can come to you and tell you, say, listen, I support this candidate. You must go and vote with them. He's a good man, and he walked in with them. They so bold. You got this country. If you got $250 million owed, right, to the Bank of Bahamas, right, and the Bank of Bahamas is funded for 61% or 65% by the Treasury. The Treasury is a consolidated fund. The Treasury is the money that you pay in tax. They borrow, that's the same money. They borrow the Treasury money indirectly. And then you call enough to come and tell me vote for the same party that allow you to get the money and then you ain't paying back. And I have to pay taxes, high taxes to pay the money you borrow. And these people then are be sitting by, and we got to be something wrong with us.
See, it's a system, and whether you are PLP or FNM, I don't want to talk politics.
But you don't have to talk politics. I can talk politics. I can talk politics. That's the same point we have. You was an educated man, right?
Yes, sir. And what I'm saying to you is,
you see what I said when I opened up the show?
Yeah.
I said the educated sector of the society refuse to participate in a honest dialogue and conversation about this country. And the country's falling apart. Because you ain't want to offend no one. Yeah, what you said, that's not what you said.
No. I know. But what I'm saying to you, right? Independent thing. I say this to you, right?
Yes, sir.
I say this to you.
Yes, sir.
We understand that the economic treachery of this country to where we are treading right now. When I look at the country, I pray every day and I ask the Lord to open up the windows of heaven and pour down His blessing on this country. And this country, over $2 billion. I don't know if you know this. I did some research last year during the pandemic. Over 2 billion tons. 2 billion tons of cargo pass through the Bahamas, and we don't get no tax on it. 2 billion.
I don't understand. It's like Mr. Johnson. Use the Johnson like Johnson. Listen to me. It's like we feel that we will run a white man if we tax them, or they will hate us, or they'll go against us. No. I mean, I don't understand.
No, but it's a business strategy.
Listen,
in America, you pay taxes.
I give you something better than that. I talked to a very prominent lawyer in this country, right? He is a partner with a very prominent accountant, right, in this country. And he said that he manages, I think it's a $3 billion platform, right?
$3 billion
platform, right? He said if the government, he makes great money off it, managing it for foreigners, But he said if the government don't change the laws, we can make money of these things. If we get 5%, people don't mind that they are. Listen, you see Albany? Albany is creating a financial center,
Yes.
Albany is creating a financial center. What are we benefiting? We are benefiting by hiring a cleaning company to mop in the nighttime when the rich people don't come up, right? When the staff who have all the knowledge and protecting these rich people money go home, we hire a company to do cleaning. We pay them every month. So we benefit from there. We benefit from security, opening and closing the door, right? We benefit from some staff who actually, good morning, how can I help you? That's how we benefit. How is it that we don't have a system, we're not prepared to change this system, and we continuously voting in these same people? It's simple as local government. I've been on the radio for years. I wouldn't even talk about this catastrophic national insurance I've been asking for, I ain't never know catastrophic insurance when the PLP talking about foolishness. I'm talking about a catastrophic insurance where the country has a safety net. And when tourism falls, or you have a 9/11, or you have a pandemic like this COVID thing was created, this disease was created. When you have warfare, the germs that created like this pandemic, this COVID-19, that this country wouldn't suffer. Right. We are spiraling in debt, right? We hasn't had a balanced budget from 1967, right? And it's like we as a people ain't understanding the magnitude of this problem.
We have to educate. We have
this election right now, Johnson, next on the 16th of September, was called, in my personal view, as a result of the decisions that have to be made, whether you like it or not, in terms of taxation. Because the IMF and the Standard & Poor's, they want any government, PLB or FNM, to cut the percentage of staff employed by the civil servants either half or a certain percentage, to stop guaranteeing all these jobs and stuff like that. We take the pension plan and put it on the Bahamian people from a telco so that cable and wireless don't be responsible. We do so much things that are not in the best interest of this country. Yes. And we sit by and we allow the former chairman to get away with it. The Right Honorable Jubal Alexander Ingram, we don't make Perry Christie change it. He say you change it, but when they win, it's a different dance. And we just, I don't understand what it is.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. They say same dance, different song. Let me tell you something. Independent thinker. For years, we've been on the radio talking about how people need to educate themselves on how the system works, how our economy works. We seem to have this mentality that if we put in takeout, how is that helping our economic prosperity in terms of a nation as a people? And you find that our people are, the poverty, the middle class is shrinking deeper and deeper because of that. A lot of our kids who are going away to school are not coming back to this country because they don't see no future. When we look at our economy, you have to make Bahamians, one, feel proud to be that they are Bahamian. Number two, you make Bahamians feel that they can get a part of this economic pie. Three, Bahamians must feel that they shouldn't be denied opportunity and access in our country. Number four, we must have a country and whoever's in government to be able to speak to the mindset of making me feel that I could go anywhere, I could do anything in my country. I can't feel like I gotta go through the back of the bus or the back door. Them days over with. But we have to have that mindset. Unless our mindset and our thinking change, I don't care who we put in, who we take out, the mentality has to change because you got to make Bahamians feel.
We need a system overhaul. We need a system change. Overhaul. We need a system change.
Listen, this country is blessed with resources. This country is blessed with talent, Bahamian ingenuity, Bahamian creativity, and I believe we have some of the most smartest set of people on the planet.
How is it that we are not demanding that a ministry be created for manufacturing encouragement, to encourage Bahamians to start to manufacture things? We are buying things from China to sell to carry back to the States. I mean, we are buying it from Cuba to bring here, to sell to tourists to carry back to the States. Why we are not encouraging Bahamians to continue to make artifacts and craft to sell so that we as a people will benefit from the full dollar? I mean, what it is? I mean, why are we afraid to empower one another? Why are we afraid to empower our comrades and our citizens in this country?
Because we don't want them to make more money than you. I'm going to leave you with this quote. It's not that our aim is too high and we reach it, but our aim is so low and we achieve it. Because we set low expectations for ourselves, we expect for our people to achieve it.
Listen, that's a good word to end the show on, but boy, listen, I tired, man. I really tired. I been on the radio now. Or when you total up the amount of time I've been on the radio, what, 9 years, 2010, 10 years. I've been like a voice in the wilderness trying to encourage Bahamians to understand that, hey, we don't have to sell for these whatless politicians that continuously perpetrate and force and encourage and allow. It's simple as local government. I gotta be on the radio begging them to understand the benefit, to encourage Bahamians to empower themselves. Let them help govern themselves. Crime will reduce.
Yeah.
Plenty of things in these communities and these constituencies will reduce. But you know why? They feel if they create local government, they'll empower Bahamian. They feel if they give you a piece of crown land, when you're doing an investment, that should be free.
Right.
That should be a crown land. Because foreigners is coming. Listen, I always use a mark as like one for a band of merry men and women sit down in the PLB cabinet and grant 10,000 acres to a foreigner, which there's a 50-50 PPP, public-private investment, where they can sell 10,000 acres of land,
right,
and the baby people benefit 50%, and the foreigner ain't paid for that 50%.
Right.
So why should he benefit? When you have a lawyer, all the lawyers inside the PLB cabinet, they sit down and agree to that. It clearly shows they don't love the Bahamian people. How can you agree? How can you agree to give a foreigner 10,000 acres of land, and you only have one Bahamian in this country who has 10,000 acres of land? I'll be all the time, man. Just 1 minute to 9. We got 1 more minute. Producer Robert. Listen, this has been Prime Time with Independent Thinker. Listen, next week is the last show before election. I'll try and get 1 or 2 politicians in the chair and have a honest conversation on the direction this country needs to head. I will end with a quote from the great late Sir Lyndon Oscar Pilden. If Bahamians aren't prepared to stand up and fight and defend their own Bahamas, then they don't deserve to have it. Good night, Bahamas.